Dr. Jeannie Gudith, your private school expert, here to share valuable tips and trends to keep your private school thriving. So let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about the 3 game-changing certifications that your school should have. Maybe not all of them you can have, but should have if you can, because they really will enhance and bring up the value of your school. So let's jump in. The first certification is accreditation. So this is the one that every school strives to obtain, even if you're a preschool, a K through 12, a college, a trade school. Everyone knows accreditation is key because parents really value a school that's kind of been vetted by a third party. They feel like there's a little bit more protection there when you have accreditation. And there's numerous accrediting agencies out there. It just depends on what type of school you are and which agency would work best for your school. But that's one of the main certifications that I would start with. So if you're a school and you're not currently accredited, I would definitely look into accreditation. It's about a 12-month process. It can extend longer. It just depends on the type of school that you have. So sometimes colleges take longer than, for example, a K through 8. It just depends on the type of school. And when you do obtain accreditation, it really brings a lot of value to the school. The parents will ask you, are you accredited? Even if they're not exactly sure what that means, they just want to know that you have that stamp of approval. And it is a long process. There's a lot of paperwork and documentation involved. Usually you'd want to put a team together to go through the process. It doesn't have to be a huge team. It can be a couple of people. Depends again on how big you are. If you have multiple campuses, that's a different kind of accreditation. But you'd want to put a team together that can really put all those documents together, look at the accrediting agency's standards and how your school is going to meet those standards. And there's a process you go through. There's, documents that you fill out, and there's evidence that you have to upload depending on the agency and what they're looking for. So a lot of times you'll have to put that documentation together. We help clients with accreditation all the time. That's one of our main ways that we help clients. We help people start schools and improve their schools, and accreditation is one of the improvement parts of it. So it is a longer process. It does take about 12 months, sometimes 15, but it's well worth it because once you have accreditation, a lot of other doors open. For example, if you offer high school at your school, then you can apply and get your college board number, things like that. So it's really important. If you haven't thought about accreditation, I would definitely encourage you to look into it because it will bring a lot of value to your school. So let's jump into the second certification that you should have. The second certification that you should think about getting is SEVIS certification, or SEVP. And that is a certification that allows your school to issue visas to international students. So if you've ever thought about bringing in international students into your school, then this would be a great certification to look at. Now, SEVIS, SEVP certification is really most beneficial for middle school, high school, colleges. It's not something that you can do for preschool. And usually K through 5, people aren't sending their young kids overseas to school. So usually it's better suited for schools that are like 6th grade and above. And this is a certification that really enhances the value of your school. So even let's say down the line, 5-10 years, you decide you do want to sell your school, buyers are looking for this certification. So it's a really good one to have. And this is a certification I would do after you have accreditation. You can do it before, but I wouldn't recommend it just because there's a lot more paperwork involved. Because if you're trying to get SEVIS certification before you've been accredited, there's a lot more hoops that you have to jump through. And Homeland Security would rather that you be accredited because then they know you've already been vetted and they don't have to do it. So it doesn't mean you can't get SEVP before accreditation. You can, but I would recommend getting accreditation first and then going through the SEVIS process. And that process is about 9 to 12 months. It just depends on, how backlogged they are, what state you're in, if there's an agent that's close by and when they can come visit your school, all of those kinds of things. Now, if you're an online school, you are not eligible for CVIS certification. This is only for brick and mortar schools, just to make that note. If you are a brick and mortar school and you have middle school students and above, high school, college, trade school, I would highly recommend getting this certification. Even if you don't decide to take international students, or maybe you'll take one or two here and there, it's a really good certification to have, and it does open the doors to maybe having relationships with other schools in other countries where you can have some kind of sister school program or something like that. This type of certification also offers a lot of cultural enrichment into your school, and when I had international students at my school, my kids loved it. All the kids loved it. So it really is a great opportunity, not only to increase enrollment, but also to increase the cultural diversity at your school. So let's move into the third certification. So the third certification that you should think about is Title IV. Now, this certification is only eligible for colleges, trade schools, any kind of higher ed school. And this type of certification allows the school to offer things like loans and get grants and those types of things. Now, you do have to be accredited in order to have Title IV. So that's one thing. Once you've gone through the accreditation process, then you can move into the Title IV process. Now, most states do require colleges to become accredited, go through the accreditation process, and they usually give you about 2 years, sometimes 3. It just depends on the state. Every state's a little different. But once you do have your accreditation, I would recommend going through the CVIS certification process and Title IV, because Title IV will really help you with your students, especially if they maybe can't afford the tuition. It would offer them some support with loans. And then you could also be eligible for some grants as well, depending on your type of school. When you have Title IV, it also gives you a competitive advantage over other schools, because not every college, trade school has Title IV. So if your school has it, it does give you, an edge above those other schools that may not have it, because having that financial aid access is really important for a lot of your students. So I would highly recommend getting Title IV certification. So those are the 3 certifications that I would recommend your school look into to see which one might be beneficial for your school, because obviously not all of them work for all schools. It just depends on your type of school. So I would definitely look into those. And if you need some help or support, feel free to reach out. Also, I'd love it if you'd like, subscribe, leave comments below. I love reading comments. It really helps me learn about, what your school's going through, what you're going through, which can help other schools as well. I get so many calls from different clients and different schools asking about, is there a community, or, how can we get more information? So if I get enough comments and enough people interested, I will create a community of schools, because I think that would be really great for all private schools to have, just some kind of community and support. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much for joining me.